and the galaxy went silent as humanity's seventh-dimensional ship revealed its power. The year was 2457. Earth had reached the stars decades ago, but humans were still seen as newcomers. The vast Galactic Council, run by ancient aliens who had traveled space for thousands of years, treated humans like children. They called Earth's people technological infants and gave them no real power. Commander Jia Kim stood at the viewport of her ship, the ESS Prometheus. She was a tall woman with determined eyes and short black hair streaked with gray despite her relatively young age. The stress of leading Earth's most advanced research vessel had aged her quickly. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth Command," said Lieutenant Tay, her communications officer. His voice was tight with tension. Kim turned from the viewport. "Put it through." The holographic display flickered to life, showing Admiral Han's grim face. "Commander Kim, I have terrible news. The Thanatos swarm has attacked our colonies in the Epsilon sector. New Sol, Harmony, and Nova Terra, all gone." Kim felt her stomach drop. "Casualties?" "Over 4 million dead. The colonies were completely destroyed." Admiral Han's voice cracked slightly. "We've appealed to the Council for assistance." "And?" Kim already knew the answer. "They've offered condolences. Nothing more." The Admiral's face hardened. "They consider this a local matter not worthy of intervention." Kim's hands tightened into fists. For years, humanity had played by the Council's rules, accepting their patronizing treatment while trying to prove themselves worthy. And now, when they needed help most, the Council had abandoned them. "What are our orders?" she asked. "Continue your research. It's more important than ever." The Admiral leaned closer to the screen. "Dr. Hyun Park believes he's close to a breakthrough with the dimensional drive. If he succeeds..." "The Council doesn't believe our theories about higher dimensions," Kim reminded him. "The Arturians laughed when we presented our findings." "Let them laugh," Admiral Han replied. "We need to be ready to defend ourselves. The Thanatos will eventually reach Earth. When they do, we need something they won't expect." After the transmission ended, Kim made her way to the science lab where Dr. Park and his team worked tirelessly. The lab hummed with energy as complex, holographic models rotated in the air. Dr. Park looked up from his calculations. He was a small man with bright, intelligent eyes that seemed too large for his face. Despite being in his 60s, he had the energy of someone half his age. "Commander, perfect timing. We've made progress on the 7th-dimensional equations." Kim glanced at the incomprehensible symbols floating in the air. "Explain it to me in simple terms, Doctor." Park smiled. "Most ships travel in 3 dimensions. Right? Forward, backward, up, down, left, right. Advanced Council ships can dip into the 4th dimension for faster-than-light travel. But we've discovered that the 7th dimension allows something much more profound." He manipulated the hologram, showing a ship that seemed to exist in multiple places at once. A ship operating in the 7th dimension doesn't just move through space. It exists partially outside conventional reality. It can manipulate the fundamental fabric of the universe. "And the Council doesn't believe this is possible?" Kim asked. "They've been using the same technology for millennia. They lack imagination." Park's eyes sparkled with excitement. "We need to build this ship, Commander. With it, humanity could defend itself against any threat." Kim thought of the 4 million lives lost, of the Council's indifference, of humanity's precarious position in a galaxy that viewed them as insignificant. "How soon can we begin construction?" she asked. "With proper resources?" "Perhaps 2 years." Kim nodded slowly. "I'll speak with Earth Command. We'll get you what you need." As she left the lab, Commander Kim looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Thanatos swarm was moving toward Earth. Somewhere else, the Council species were going about their business, unconcerned with humanity's struggles. They all thought they knew the limits of what humans could achieve. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The galaxy went silent. As humanity's 7th-dimensional ship revealed its power in a hidden asteroid base orbiting Jupiter, Dr. Hyun Park worked with intense focus. 1 year had passed since the Thanatos attacks, and Earth's remaining 17 colonies lived in constant fear. The secret facility, known only as Ascension Point, housed 300 of humanity's brightest minds. Park studied the holographic display showing his latest calculations. The numbers finally aligned. After decades of theoretical work and 3 years of practical experiments, he had proven that accessing the 7th dimension was possible. "Jin, come look at this," Park called to his assistant. Jin Lee, a brilliant young physicist, moved to his side. Her eyes widened as she reviewed the equations. "Is this stable?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Yes. The 7th-dimensional. Anchor points maintain coherence without collapse." Park smiled, the first genuine smile in months. "We can build it now." That afternoon, Park presented his findings to Commander Kim, who had been assigned to oversee the project. The commander's face remained impassive as she reviewed the data, but her eyes revealed her excitement. "How big would this ship need to be?" Kim asked. "Larger than anything we've built before. The dimensional core alone requires enormous power," Park explained. "But the advantages are beyond anything imaginable. A 7th-dimensional ship wouldn't just travel faster than light. It would exist partly outside normal spacetime." "What does that mean in practical terms?" Park considered. "How to explain complex physics simply. Imagine you're looking at a book from above. You see all pages at once, while someone inside the book can only see one page. That's what 7th-dimensional travel offers us. The ability to see and interact with reality from outside it." Kim nodded slowly. "And weapons capability?" "Theoretically unlimited," Park said quietly. "A ship operating in the 7th dimension could remove objects from our reality entirely, manipulate energy in ways impossible to counter, or even alter probability itself." 2 days later, Earth's remaining military resources were diverted to Project Ascension. Construction began on the Hyperion, humanity's first and only 7th-dimensional vessel. The ship's design was unlike anything seen before. A massive obsidian structure with geometric patterns that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. 6 months into construction, disaster struck. While testing the dimensional core, stabilizers, a radiation leak occurred. Dr. Park was exposed to fatal levels of exotic particles. In the medical bay, Commander Kim sat beside his bed as doctors worked frantically. "The designs are complete," Park said weakly. "Jin knows the final calibrations." "Save your strength," Kim urged. "We'll get you to Earth for better treatment." Park shook his head. "Not enough time. Promise me something, Jia." Kim leaned closer. "Anything. When Hyperion is complete, don't use it for revenge. What we've discovered, it's too powerful for that. The Thanatos killed millions of our people," Kim reminded him. "And with this ship you could erase them from existence." Park's eyes were intense despite his failing body. "But that shouldn't be humanity's legacy among the stars. Promise me. You'll remember that power without wisdom is worthless." Kim took his hand. "I promise to be worthy of your discovery." 3 days later, Dr. Hyun Park died. The entire base observed a day of mourning before returning to work with renewed determination. 4 months later, construction of the Hyperion was complete. The massive ship hung in space near Jupiter, its surface seeming to bend light around it in impossible ways. Inside the command center, Commander Kim addressed the crew. "Today we take humanity's greatest step into the unknown. Dr. Park gave his life for this moment. Let's make sure his sacrifice wasn't in vain." As technicians began the activation sequence for the dimensional core, Jin Lee approached the commander. "He would be proud," she said quietly. Kim nodded. "The galaxy thinks they know humanity's limits. They're about to learn how wrong they are." The Hyperion's engines hummed to life as it prepared for its first test flight. The galaxy went silent as humanity's 7th-dimensional ship revealed its power. The alarm sirens blared throughout Earth's orbital defense station. Fleet Admiral Su stood rigid, watching the holographic display with growing horror. The Thanatos swarm had arrived at the edge of the solar system, over 200 warships moving in perfect formation. Time to Earth orbit? He asked, voice steady despite his fear. 3 hours, sir, replied his tactical officer. Our defensive fleet is in position, but we're outnumbered 5-1. Admiral Sue closed his eyes briefly. This was the moment they had dreaded for years. The Thanatos had methodically destroyed human colony after colony, working their way toward Earth. Now humanity's homeworld faced extinction. Send the emergency broadcast. All civilians to underground shelters. Sue's voice was grim. And send the signal to Commander Kim. Far away, near Jupiter's orbit, Commander Kim received the alert on the bridge of the Hyperion. For months they had tested the ship's systems in secret, preparing for this moment. The 7th-Dimensional drive worked perfectly in trials, but they had never used it in actual combat. It's time, Kim told her crew. The Thanatos have reached Sol. Earth has 3 hours. Jin Lee, now Hyperion's chief science officer, looked up from her console. The dimensional core is stable. All systems are ready. Kim nodded. Set course for Earth. Maximum conventional speed. As Hyperion raced toward Earth, representatives from various Galactic Council species gathered in observation vessels at a safe distance from the solar system. They had detected the Thanatos fleet's approach but offered no assistance. Another primitive species about to fall, remarked an Arturian diplomat. Unfortunate, but inevitable. The humans simply lacked the technology to defend themselves. They showed promise, said a Viridian observer. Their art was quite interesting. We should collect samples before everything is destroyed. Their conversation halted as sensors detected a new ship approaching Earth, unlike anything they had seen before. The vessel was massive and black, its surface shifting in ways that hurt the eyes to observe. What is that? The Arturian asked, Honor. The Hyperion's bridge. Commander Kim watched as they approached Earth. The Thanatos fleet had formed a battle line, preparing to launch their attack. Activate the 7th-Dimensional drive, Kim ordered. Jin Lee's fingers moved across her console. Dimensional core powering up, entering 7th-Dimensional space in 3, 2, 1. The ship shuddered. Outside the viewports, reality seemed to fold. The stars stretched and twisted into impossible shapes as Hyperion partially left conventional spacetime. We're stable, Jin announced. 7th-Dimensional field extending. Kim stood from her chair. Take us into the heart of their fleet. Across the galaxy, something unprecedented occurred. Every communication system, from the most primitive radio to the most advanced quantum entanglement networks, suddenly went silent. For 14 minutes and 27 seconds, no signal could be transmitted or received anywhere. The Galactic Council observers watched in confusion as their systems failed. When the silence lifted, they looked back toward Earth and found the entire Thanatos fleet gone. Not destroyed, not damaged, simply absent. Where 200 warships had been preparing to attack, there was only empty space. In orbit around Earth, the human defense fleet looked on in shock. The Hyperion hung motionless against the backdrop of stars, surrounded by a faint geometric glow that defied description. This is Commander Kim of the ESS Hyperion, came the transmission to Earth Control. The Thanatos fleet has been neutralized. Neutralized? Admiral Sue's voice was incredulous. What happened to them? There was a pause before Kim answered. They no longer exist in our reality, Admiral. They've been relocated. In their observation vessels, the Council representatives frantically analyzed sensor data, trying to understand what they had witnessed. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just defeated the Thanatos. They had demonstrated technology far beyond anything the Council possessed. Send word to the Council, the Arturian diplomat whispered. Everything has changed. So the galaxy went silent as humanity's 7th-Dimensional ship revealed its power. The day after the Thanatos fleet vanished, ships from 12 different Galactic Council species arrived in Earth's solar system. They came in force, warships, science, vessels, and diplomatic craft, all demanding answers. Commander Kim sat in the conference room aboard Earth's orbital station. Across from her, Representatives from the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy waited with poorly hidden fear in their eyes. "We require an explanation of what happened yesterday," said the Arturian delegate, his blue skin flushed with darker patches of stress. "Our analysis shows that all communications across the galaxy failed for precisely 14 minutes and 27 seconds. When they returned, an entire battle fleet had disappeared." Kim leaned back in her chair. For centuries, these beings had looked down on humans as primitive newcomers. Now they sat before her, demanding answers but unable to hide their unease. "The Thanatos threatened Earth," she said simply. "We defended ourselves." "With what technology?" pressed the Viridian representative. "Nothing in your development history suggested such capability." "Perhaps you weren't paying close attention," Kim replied. "We presented our dimensional theories to the Council 3 years ago. You dismissed them as flawed." The representatives exchanged glances. They remembered the human scientists with their wild ideas about higher dimensions, ideas that had seemed so naively incorrect to their advanced minds. "Where are the Thanatos ships now?" asked a small, insect-like diplomat from the Zentari hive. Kim hesitated, remembering Dr. Park's final words. This was a moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. She could intimidate them with the full truth, or offer reassurance. "They exist in a parallel reality," she said finally, "unharmed, but unable to return." The conference room erupted in shocked murmurs. The ability to transfer objects between realities was thought impossible by even the most advanced council scientists. "We demand access to this technology," stated the Arturian, "for the safety of all species." Kim shook her head. "The Hyperion remains under Earth's control. We have no plans to share this technology at present." "Then we must insist." "You misunderstand," Kim interrupted. "This isn't a negotiation. For the first time since humanity joined the galactic community, we are speaking as equals." After the delegates departed, Admiral Sue joined Kim at the viewport overlooking Earth. "They're afraid of us now," he observed. "Yes," Kim agreed. "Their scientists have been analyzing the event. They've realized what the Hyperion actually did, which is, it didn't just move the Thanatos fleet. For those 14 minutes, it altered the fundamental properties of reality throughout the galaxy." Kim's voice was quiet. "The 7th dimension allows control over probability itself. In theory, we could rewrite history, change physical laws, or erase entire species from existence." Sue looked disturbed. "And they know this?" "Their best scientists do. That's why they're afraid." In the following weeks, analysis of the Silence event spread across the galaxy. The most advanced civilizations came to the same frightening conclusion. Humans hadn't just developed a powerful weapon. They had mastered something that rendered all conventional technology obsolete. On distant worlds, council leaders debated their response. Some advocated for immediate military action against Earth, before humans could build more ships like the Hyperion. Others argued for bringing humans into the council's inner circle, hoping to influence how this new power would be used. Meanwhile, on the Hyperion, Jin Lee worked with her team to understand exactly what had happened during those 14 minutes of silence. The ship had done more than they'd anticipated. The 7th-dimensional field had temporarily altered reality across the entire galaxy. "We need to be careful," she told Commander Kim. "This power, it's greater than we imagined." Kim nodded, thinking of Dr. Park's dying words. Power without wisdom was worthless. Humanity now possessed the most powerful technology in known space. How they used it would determine not just their future, but perhaps the future of all intelligent life. The galaxy went silent as humanity's 7th-dimensional ship revealed its power. 3 years passed since the defeat of the Thanatos swarm. Everything had changed. Earth now held a full seat on the Galactic Council. The massive council chamber with its soaring crystal arches had been redesigned to include a human section. Ambassador Jia Kim, formerly Commander Kim, walked through the grand hall toward her first official meeting as Earth's representative. She wore a simple white uniform with Earth's new emblem. a spiral galaxy wrapped in geometric patterns representing the higher dimensions. "Ambassador Kim," called a familiar voice. Jin Lee approached, now serving as Earth's chief scientific advisor. "The council is waiting. They seem nervous." "They're always nervous around us now," Kim replied with a small smile. Inside the chamber, representatives from 500 species fell quiet as Kim took her seat. The Arturian head counselor, Morrow, opened the session. "We welcome Earth's representative to this historic council meeting," he said, his tone respectful but guarded. "Today we discuss the proposed treaty on dimensional technology restrictions." Kim nodded. For 3 years, Earth had maintained the Hyperion as its only 7th-dimensional vessel. Despite pressure, they had refused to build more ships or share the technology. This restraint had slowly earned them respect from some council species. "Earth supports the proposed restrictions," Kim stated clearly. "We believe that 7th-dimensional technology must be developed with extreme caution." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many had expected humans to leverage their advantage for greater power. "You surprise us again, Ambassador," said the Viridian representative. "Your species possesses technology that could dominate the galaxy, yet you propose limiting it. We understand the responsibility that comes with such power," Kim replied. "Dr. Park, who gave his life developing this technology, warned us about using it wisely." After the session, Kim met privately with Morrow in one of the council's garden chambers. The Arturian, once dismissive of humans, now watched her with careful respect. "Many on the council believed your species would build a fleet of these ships," Morrow said. "They feared humanity would seek revenge for years of being treated as lesser beings." Kim studied the alien plants blooming around them. "That would have been the easy path, but not the right one." "Your restraint has changed minds," Morrow admitted. "Some of the oldest species now study human philosophy and art, searching for what they missed before." Kim smiled. "And we still have much to learn from you. That's the point, isn't it? We're stronger together than apart." Later that day, Kim returned to the Hyperion, still Earth's flagship, but now a symbol rather than a weapon. The ship remained, a marvel, the physical embodiment of humanity's greatest scientific achievement. As she walked through its corridors, crew members nodded respectfully. On the observation deck, Kim stood alone, watching the impossible geometries of higher dimensions swirl around the ship. Even after 3 years, the sight still filled her with wonder. The patterns shifted and danced, revealing glimpses of parallel realities and paths not taken. She thought about how close they had come to using this power for domination. In those first days after defeating the Thanatos, many military leaders had pushed to build more ships and establish human supremacy. Instead, they had chosen Dr. Park's path, using their discovery to bring balance rather than disruption. Not all species appreciated this choice. Some former powers still resisted the new order, unwilling to accept that their technological advantage had vanished. Others worked in secret, searching for ways to access the higher dimensions themselves. Kim knew these challenges would continue, but as she watched the shifting patterns of reality around the ship, she felt certain they had made the right choice. Humanity's greatest achievement wasn't building the most powerful ship in the galaxy. It was understanding when not to use that power. The 7th dimension had taught them that existence was far more complex and interconnected than anyone had imagined. True advancement came not from domination, but from understanding. As Earth took its place among the stars, this would be their gift to the galaxy. The end.